Hello, you're here with Miss Libby Rose and we are going to make this fat quarter super cutie Summer Lovin curvy lined purse made from fat quarters. So first of all, if you download the pattern, and what you'll see is this is your pattern piece here, and you've got, if you just cut around the outside, it should print out just on one page, just on one A4 page. You just cut around the outside and then you'll have all the pattern that you'll need. Also, get yourself some fat quarters. You could have 2 or 4 or however many different types of variations that you'd like, because you can have a different colour inside, 2 on the side here, and these front bits could be different as well, so you're going inside and outside for those bits. So you've got some fat quarters, you'll need your sewing machine, a ribbon, pins, maybe a bit of tailor's chalk as well, scissors, an iron, and I think that's all you'll need really. So first of all, get your fat quarters. I just adore these funky fat quarters at the moment from Hobbycraft, so just more or less everything's being made with these. So, and it's a lovely summery feel. So you've got your fat quarters, quite a large piece actually. So if you lay out your piece and you want 2 that will end up like this size, okay? So where I've got this fold mark on the pattern, you do it full. Don't worry about this dotty line at the moment. Just cut out this as a full. So if you've got your fat quarter pieces on the fold, like that, cutting around, leaving that on the fold, so you get 2 pieces that look like that. And then for the 2 other pieces, you will fold that on the dotted line where it says fold here. And then those pieces again on the fold. So you've got your fold line, so where that marking is to say fold, and then you cut out 2, so they're this way, so you've got 2 like that. Checking your pattern direction as well, go back to the purse, and I've got all my pineapples going up, so the straight line across the top, so all the pineapples going in that direction. With this, with the top part, you probably want a more of a multi-directional ones with the picture that goes all over, because you've got your back and then this flips down at the front. So once you've got 4 pieces, you're ready to get started. So let's pop right sides together, grab the 2 smaller pieces, pop right sides together, pin across this top line, so this straight line here. Pop some pins in, and then just leave the edge of the foot against the edge of the, so the edge of the foot against the edge of the fabric, and do 1 straight line across the top. So pop as many pins as you need in, and perhaps pop your iron on as well at the moment, just so that that's ready for you, because you'll need that in a minute. So you're just going to do that straight line straight across the top. Right, so do your backwards to start, straight line, backwards to finish. Take your pins out now if you haven't already done so while you were sewing. Open it up. And press along that line. So at this point we want to press along that line. So give it a nice sharp edge, roll it out. Nice bit of steam. And we're done. Now you need to decide which fabric is going to be on the outside and which is going to be on the inside. So what you could do is lay this down, so you've got right sides together, so you've got wrong sides together here, and you've got this opened so you can lay them down and see. If I flip that over, do I want it like this? If I flip this the other way, do I want it like that? So once I've decided which way I'm going to have it, I leave that there and I take, so the inside one and the inside one. Can you see what I've done? Go like that. So I've now got this big piece to this smaller piece, and I'm going to go around from the seam line all the way around to the other seam line. But because this is going to be inside, so that's going to be inside here, I'm going to use this to turn it through. So now I will take my tailor's chalk, leave a mark at the bottom here, put a big cross there and say that is where I want to leave a gap. I'm going to leave a gap a few fingers because I'm going to turn the whole thing through at the end. So if you just leave, say put 3 of your fingers there and leave the gap that distance apart, I always find that that's a good one. So I now go around, leave a gap and around. So the gap is at the center bottom. Backwards and forwards to start. Stop for my gap. Backwards and forwards to end, right up to the stitch line. Take your pins out if you haven't already done so as you were stitching. And I've got a nice gap at the bottom here. If you can, do backwards and forwards either side of the gap as well, although you will be stitching it up at the end. So if you do forget to do backwards and forwards either side of the gap, that's okay, because you're going to go back in and stitch over it, so you could reinforce it then. So either way, if you remember, great, backwards and forwards either side of the gap. So now I have a big piece, so a big piece with the top attached to one of these sides and a gap in the bottom there. So I'm going to now repeat that process. Grab this side, lay it on top of this smaller piece, and again I'll go from the seam line all the way around to the other seam line, but this time I'm not going to leave a gap. But what I am going to do is slide my ribbon in there. So can you see on this one, I've put ribbon in. So that keeps it all together at the end. It's just a nice little fun bit to hold the purse together. You of course could add poppers or buttons or all sorts. You could go mad with your notions here. But I've done a ribbon just because it's nice and easy to slide in. So I'm going to take my lovely strawberry ribbon here, and I just need it long enough, so I'm going to cut 2 pieces, just long enough to tie a bow in. So 2 pieces, a nice length, so that they'll tie into a lovely little bow. So I will slide this ribbon in here, leaving a tiny bit sticking out so that I can go, when I sew it in, I'm going to sew over that little tag at the bottom there, so it's really holding it nice and in place. If I want to find the middle, fold it in half to find the middle spot, so I can pop my ribbon straight in the middle there, pop a pin in to hold it in place. And again, I'm going to be stitching from the stitch line all the way around to the other line. No gap at the bottom of this one, around to there. Okay. And as just generally with all of this little purse, we're going to just leave the edge of the foot against the edge of the fabric. Backwards to finish. Take your pins out, we haven't already done so. So I've got that in the bottom there. And then again, I will want to take my other piece of ribbon, and this time I want it to come out at the bottom of here. So which way around that one? So it's coming out like that. So it's going to come out like this one is. So again, right in the centre. And I just pin. So you're now closing it all up. So can you see this top? You're just going to go all the way around that arc from this stitch line around to here. Pins out. And before we turn it all through, so we've done all the main part of the stitching now, before we turn it all through, go around to all of the curve bits and give yourself some nice little notches. So you just can leave yourself, you can cut it into a tiny triangle, or just do tiny little slashes up to the stitch line but not touching the stitch line. So these tiny little cuts or notches, so that it makes it nice and round when you turn it through. So I'm just cutting some nice little notches in there. Any loose threads can go. Notch, notch, notch. So right up to the stitch line. You can do them as little triangles, or you can just do like a tiny little slash up to the stitch line, making sure you don't go over any of your stitches. And then I go to the gap that we left earlier and turn it all through. Okay, so once you pull it all through, a lot of the times when people make this project, they come out with all of these pieces sticking out here and think something's gone wrong because you've got different pieces. All it is the one with the hole in needs to be shuffled inside. So you just tuck it inside. So if you see it and it's all looking like this, take the piece with the hole in, shuffle it inside, so it's inside where this ribbon is, inside there, it's in the lining. Turn that down. And we have our purse. So give it a nice press. So It's lovely and flat. And once you've ironed it down, then go back. Your last thing to do is to go back inside. Just really make sure you're happy with all of the curves. So once you're happy with everything, so you don't need to go back inside, then turn it inside out and go to your hole. Now this is right at the bottom, so it won't show. If you'd like to, you could hand stitch that up for neatness, or do a straight stitch or a zigzag stitch on your machine. I'm going to do mine as a zigzag, just to reinforce it, and especially give it some more reinforcing if you didn't go backwards and forwards over the when you left your gap earlier. So I'm just going to do a little bit of zigzag, close up that hole, then I go back in, down, and tie your bow. Of course, I'm not going to do a nice bow right now. Oh, there we go. And then you've got your purse done. Okay, so I hope that wasn't too complex. And they're easy to follow. I do hope those instructions were easy to follow. So you download the pattern, and it's all written out in text as well, so you can sort of compare to watching me here and looking at the notes as well. So I would love to hear your comments. I'd love to see your makes. And if you have any comments, do leave them below, or drop me an email, or on the Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. And I look forward to making with you again soon. Thank you. Bye.